Now this video is going to be slightly different from the ones I normally do. It's longer for one thing, but also it was technically challenging because the microphone setup I have uses a 3.5mm jack, and I haven't got a microphone which is USB. And so for the Raspberry Pi, for the Raspberry Pi recording, I had to start up the recording for audio on Audacity on the FreeBSD desktop that I use, and at the same time I started up the simple screen recorder on the Raspberry Pi. And so I've had to try and mix and match the audio or what's going on with the picture. So if sometimes I seem to be either doing something which I'm not talking about, or talking about something that's not happening, it's because I've messed it up. So yeah, it was enjoyable doing. It was an enjoyable month, and this is possibly the longest video that I've done. I probably won't be doing many videos this long. Your voice goes a bit croaky after a while, but it was entertaining, and it may seem a bit disjointed at times. That's because the videos were done in segments, and each segment was kind of done over the month, and I had to stitch together like a quilt. So hopefully I can pass off on the video what I'm trying to convey. So without further ado, here's the video. Hi, this is just a small video update of something which I started on Christmas Day, was that using a Raspberry Pi as my sole desktop computer. I've now used it for a month, and I have to say that I've been pleasantly surprised just how capable the Raspberry Pi is. It is actually a viable alternative to a big box desktop. It draws very little power. At the maximum it drew about 4 watts, and that's under a heavy load. There are things it can't do spectacularly, but it will get them done, and that's obviously video rendering and encoding. It does get it done, but it's very slow, but that's to be expected because of only 1GB of RAM and a relatively low clock speed, although it's not as bad as actually you would imagine it would be. Here is the Raspberry and desktop which I used. It's a full desktop. Everything that you expect on the desktop is there. You've got Chromium, Sylpheed, LibreOffice, OpenShot, GIMP, Inkscape, Scribus. They're the main tools that I was using for the month. The small videos that I make about FreeBSD was done on the Raspberry Pi. It's got a lot of programming applications which I installed. I've got an Office suite, of course, internet. There's quite a few to choose from. Surprisingly, there's quite a few games. The educational games that you can see is because I will be turning this Raspberry Pi into the children's computer to do the homework on. I think it's perfectly suited to that. But also, I can actually use the Raspberry Pi as a development system for the children. If I want to get the accessory kit, and then they can start experimenting, putting circuits together, motherboards, even creating small robots, etc. So I think it's perfect for that. Various knickknacks which don't seem to fit any particular niche, but I don't know why they wasn't put into the internet section, but there you are. So it's not so bad. I mean, it fulfilled its purpose. MuseScore is particularly, and Rose Garden are particularly. I'm very pleased by the Pi's performance on that. I have a Yamaha keyboard which I use for the children to learn on, and I can actually download MIDI files from the internet, put them into the Raspberry Pi, which then for better words, talks to the keyboard and can play the file that I've downloaded on the keyboard and teach the children how to play that song, and which then they copy. So that's quite fantastic. It actually works better than I thought. I mean, the tiny little Raspberry Pi can do all that. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, so you know, it's got your basic things of a desktop. It's nothing fantastic. But bear in mind that as you're using it, the system uses next to no power. To me, that's the killer. You know, as long as you don't. I mean, you suppose you could run it on the default micro SD card, but I've got it set up so it runs off a fast USB stick. Any will do. The faster the better. I will get another system up and going, which will be for me, and I will run that off an SSD, so the speed should even be better. As long as you increase the swap drive on it, the swap partition to 1 GB plus, then it won't lock up for lack of memory or no resources. It'll be just fine. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. Highly recommended. If you want to turn it into a mini server, then that's fine. A mini desktop, that's also fine. I've got one in the living room which I use as a MIF TV front end. If anyone's familiar with MIF TV, you know you can have a combined front and back end, or you can separate them. For the back end, does all the work. It can be noisy. It can have all the hard drives. You put that either in the cupboard or in the spare room. And the front end, which ideally you want to be low noise or silent, which the Raspberry Pi is in the front end. Attach it to the back of the TV. You have a smart TV of your own making. I'm not usually a fan of doing H-top. I think it's doesn't always give you the best indicator of what's going on, but in this case I'll give you a H-top look at it. The desktop running Simple Screen Recorder. Here it is. I mean, Simple Screen Recorder in itself can be quite taxing. On the Raspberry Pi, you know, it's got a little bit of struggle going on. It's running the CPU roughly about 80%, but it's still enough for it to accomplish tasks that it needs to do. As you can see, I mean, the memory it's using, even with Simple Screen Recorder going, just the empty desktop, it's 200. Is that lot? 263. That's not so bad. We'll open up the LibreOffice and see what happens. Of course, the memory consumption. Yeah, that's LibreOffice. Even despite the fact that Simple Screen Recorder is recording, it's gone to 307. That was quite responsive. Yeah, we'll try something else. Let's have a look now. There's a document on there which, that one. A scanned front page of the. No, I don't want to pause it. Still recording. Yep. Ooh, that was close. There's a scanned front cover of Linux format, which I just scanned in a moment ago, and I'll show you that in a minute. Using the Simple Scan program, which works perfectly on the Raspberry Pi. So let's have a look. So let's drag over the Linux format picture. Is it going to do it? Ooh, yep, absolutely brilliant. And let's have a look at H-top now. Again, all the cores are maxed out. They're all nice and busy. We're using 340, just shy of 340 megabytes, which is not bad. And not much of the swap. You can't see it on this recording, but there's where the cursor is going round. There's a little icon of a temperature, a thermometer, which tells me the Raspberry Pi is getting slightly warmer. So we'll see how long it lasts. And then, yeah, so that's that. Close that. We don't want to save that. And we'll delete that. Move to the wastebasket. And what we'll do is I'll show you the scanning in action. So let's go down to Simple Scan. I'll just make sure we're still recording, because every now and then it does actually cut out. There you go. Right. So I'm scanning a new copy of the document. That's actually quite fast. There you go. Very nice. And we'll just check the documents that there isn't one there. No, it's not there. And we'll save it. Ooh, not as a PDF. We'll save it as a... No. We'll save it as a PNG. So PNG. I'll just make sure that's tapped at the bottom, and we'll save that. Every now and then you get this little freaky effect with the refresh rate. Sometimes if it's with simple screen recorder you're running, the Pi will it will struggle some of its graphics every now and then, but it's not too bad. And there's your document log. Well, we just down scanned in. There you go. So I'll exit out of that. Yeah, so there it scans. You can import pictures into the word processor as you can on any desktop. You might be thinking, well, you know, it's so fantastic, you know, brilliant, yeah, I can do this on mine, and you can do it on yours, and that's the whole point. The whole point is what you can do on your desktop, you can do on this tiny little Raspberry Pi. And this is the whole point of the video. I used it for a month exclusively as the my desktop computer. I made the videos on it, listened to music, watched streaming YouTube, create word processor documents, scan documents. I did all that, and I did that for 4 weeks. I did that for a month. On December the 25th, when I received it from Santa, thanks very much Santa, up to January the 25th, I used it exclusively. And I'd like to say it's out of the ordinary, but it does everything which an ordinary desktop should do. So I'm kind of in a quandary. I want to celebrate the fact it can do all these things, but all of these things are normal things that you expect anyway. So, but for the Pi, I'm extremely pleased by it. And if you wanted a desktop experience that uses very minimal power consumption, I think the monitor uses this particular monitor that I'm using is an HP L1710. Again, I bought these in job lot from eBay. Absolutely brilliant. And I think that these use about 30 watts. And so the Raspberry Pi at the moment is only using about 3 watts. You know, I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, the USB keyboard, it's at the moment I'm using a Sun Type 7 USB keyboard with the mouse plugged into the keyboard and the keyboard plugged into the Pi. So the Pi is powering the mouse and the keyboard. It's powering the scanner, running off a USB stick. It's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, before I ramble on anymore, because this is why I tend to either not speak in videos or I do heavily edited videos, because I do tend to ramble on. I will wrap it up and say that if you was considering getting a Raspberry Pi or any single board computer really, because there's a good choice out there now, you can't go wrong using it for a server, a print server, an email server, a firewall, proxy cache. You can use it for a desktop computer, a computer for children, which this is going to be turned into, to learn on, experiment on. You can't go wrong. It's a very low cost. It's about £30, which is what, $40 maybe, and it uses very small power, so it's a win-win-win situation really. So anyway, okay, thanks for watching, and look out for further videos coming on this channel. Thank you.